Hello and welcome to Kinnser's video on the life cycle of a clinical note. In this video, we'll discuss how a note is passed back and forth from the clinician to QA. We'll also take a look at a few common scenarios of the QA process. There are only three places a note can be. For this example, we like to use a bucket analogy. In the first bucket, it's with the clinician, in the second bucket, it's with QA, and third bucket means it's completed, done, and ready for billing. So when a clinician submits a note, it's sent to QA. If QA approves that note and everything's fine with it, it's completed and ready for billing. This is known as the perfect life of a note. Now there will be scenarios where QA will need to send that note back to the clinician. So we're going to take a look at this scenario directly from the application. So here we are in the application, and I'm currently logged in as a clinician. To access my notes, I'll click on Go to Hotbox. I already have a note pretty much filled out down here towards the bottom, scheduled on January 26, 2013. As you can see, it's already in the status of saved because I've already added some information in. To click into my note, I'll just click on the patient's name. And as I mentioned, a lot of the information is already filled out. So let's assume in this scenario, I filled out everything on this document perfectly, except for some reason I forgot my vital signs. So we're going to submit this note and see how it's sent back to us. So I'll scroll down to the bottom of the screen, type in my electronic signature, and as soon as I click submit, this note moves from bucket 1 to bucket 2. It's going to move from the clinician to QA. That note is no longer on my hotbox for January 26th, it's now on a QA person's hotbox. So now I've switched roles. I'm actually logged in as a QA person now. To review that note that was just submitted for January 26th, 2013, I'll click on Go to Hotbox because I'm the QA person in charge of approving the notes for this patient. To quickly find that note, under the filter by search, I can just type in 01/26/2013. The visit that was just submitted pops up. To review the note, I can just click on the patient's name. From this screen, I have several options to review this note. Across the top, I can review other documents submitted for this patient. By default, it says same discipline, so it's just going to show me other skilled nurse notes for this patient. If I click on all disciplines, the drop-down changes to show me medication profiles, home health aid visits. I can review the 45 from here just by clicking on it. So if I click on CMS 45, it shows up at the bottom. Now since the 45 was not the original document that I clicked into, I cannot edit or approve it. In gray you can read, you must be on the original document to edit or approve. To quickly jump back to that note, I can just click on original document right here at the top center of the screen. Now I can edit or approve this document. Also, you'll notice you can quickly jump back to the most previous document. So if I click on patient communication, it drops me back there. Then I can click on med profile. It just chronologically jumps you backwards. Again, to return to that original document, I'll click on return to skilled nurse visit. So let's assume I scroll down here and I see that everything's perfect on this document, except they did not enter the vital signs. So to fix this problem, I'm going to use my yellow sticky note. I'm going to type into the comments, please enter vitals. Now at the two options at the bottom right of the yellow sticky note, I'm going to choose edit. If I click on approve, that just sends it to the third bucket, and that would be the perfect life of a note. It was submitted, then approved. In this case, I can't approve it, so instead I'll choose edit. As soon as you click on edit, the signature at the bottom of the page is going to disappear. This is because information can be changed at this point. So when I scroll back up to the top and click on edit, I can now change the information. Now in this case, I didn't make the visit, so I don't know the vitals. So I, as the QA person, would simply scroll down to the bottom of the screen and click on return. Clicking on return is the same thing as handing this back to the clinician that needs to make the corrections. It's going to move from my hotbox to their hotbox. We're sending it from bucket 2 back to bucket 1. So far what we've done is submitted the note from clinician to QA, then we realized the vitals were not input. So it was returned back to the clinician, and now that document is currently in the status of returned for review. So now I'm back logged in as the clinician. When that clinician clicks on Go to Hotbox, they'll be able to scroll down to the 126 section, and now I can see I have a skilled nurse visit for January 26th that's returned for review, and now there's a yellow sticky note attached to it out towards the right. This yellow sticky is telling me please enter vitals. So to add that information into the note, I'll click back into the note just like I did before, and then I'm just going to enter the temperature for an example. Now let's assume again that everything's perfect on this document, except for whatever reason I came in here and I meant to write in test, but instead I put T-set instead. So everything's perfect on this document except a minor spelling error. This situation is going to be handled a bit differently. So just like before, I will scroll down to the bottom of the page and type in my signature, because right now I'm under the impression that everything is perfect on my document. So when I click submit, this goes directly back to QA. This goes from bucket 1 back to bucket 2. So here I am again logged in as QA. When I click on Go to Hotbox, I'll utilize that filter by search again. I'll type in 01/26/2013. That same visit pops up with the same yellow sticky located out to the right, and now the status is back to submitted with signature. So when I click into that note, I can see the temperature of 100 was put in. Now let's assume I run a spell check. If you'd like to run a spell check, you can download one for free from Google. So if I run that spell check, it's going to pick up this misspelling here. So I cannot come in here and click on approve because this note's not perfect. So I'm going to come back up here to the top, and this is where we'll notice the change. I'll type in, please re-sign. I had to correct a spelling in the cardio section. Now when I choose edit this time, it's going to break the signature just like it did before. But in this case, I know what they were trying to say here. They were trying to say test. So I've made changes, so I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and instead of clicking on return, I'm going to choose approve. I'm saying I approve what I've done. Now I'm going to return it to the clinician for signature. So as soon as I click on approve, it goes right back to the clinician, but this is where we're going to notice a big difference. So I'll choose approve. It falls off of my hotbox and goes directly back to the clinician. So finally, we're logged in as the clinician one more time. If I click on Go to Hotbox and scroll down, you'll notice that that same visit for January 26th is currently in the status of pending clinician signature. And I have the newly updated yellow sticky that says, please re-sign. I had to correct a spelling in the cardio section. The big difference here is when that clinician clicks into the document, they can't change anything because it's already been approved. To sign the document at the bottom, they can just put in their electronic signature. Now if they don't agree with the changes, they don't have to sign it. But if they do agree with the changes, they'll type in their signature, and as soon as they click sign document, it goes from the first bucket all the way to the third bucket since it's already been approved by QA. Now that document is currently in the status of completed. So in this last example, we added our vital signs and submitted the document back to QA with a spelling error. When QA got that document, they corrected the spelling error themselves and sent it back to us as approved, which meant it was pending clinician signature. Now since that document was already approved, when either clinician signed off on it, it jumped directly to completed since it had already been approved by QA. For recap, we talked about how a note was passed back and forth from the clinician to QA. We also looked at a few common scenarios of the QA process. Please keep in mind that the perfect life of a note is when a clinician submits it to QA and it's simply approved. As always, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact customer support. They can be reached by phone at 877-399-6538. You can also email us at support@kinnser.com, and the hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. Thanks and have a great day.